Hello, everyone. I'm Jesse Mitchell in New York. We're following breaking news out of Maine, where Democratic Senate candidate Graham Platner has dropped out of the race after a sexual assault allegation. The 41-year-old announced his decision tonight in an 11-minute social media video. Platner has denied all accusations of sexual misconduct, but he said the pressure from state and national Democrats has made it impossible for his campaign to continue. Politico first reported the latest allegation Monday afternoon. A woman accused him of sexually assaulting her when they were dating 5 years ago. She claims Platner forced her to have sex with him despite repeated objections. Platner has been the subject of multiple other controversies since becoming Maine's Democratic Senate nominee, including other women saying he mistreated them, a Nazi-linked tattoo, and racially insensitive online comments. But this is the first time he has been accused of sexual assault. Platner had been looking to unseat longtime Republican Senator Susan Collins. For more, let's bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns, who traveled to Maine to follow these developments. Caitlin, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Jesse. Good to be with you.
So Graham Platner has faced pressure to drop out since even before this story came out earlier this week. But those calls have grown a lot louder. What was the final straw to suspend this campaign? And what else did he say in the video?
Yeah, this was a moment that Democrats here in Maine and really top Democrats across the country had been waiting for. It was a long time coming in terms of since these allegations began. And essentially, the last straw really was yesterday when Bernie Sanders announced that he was withdrawing his support and that he had encouraged Platner to get out of the race. Sanders had been a top supporter of Platner, a real driving force behind his campaign, and movement had stood by him during so many of the other controversies. And yesterday he had joined the growing chorus of Democrats asking Platner to get out of the race. And that was really kind of a final straw. And what really did it here was not only national Democrats, but Democrats here in Maine abandoning his support for him, and also kind of big outside groups that had played a big role in supporting a lot of the causes that he also supported abandoned his campaign. So it had all but collapsed. And really, Democrats here were waiting for this final moment where he announced that he would be suspending his campaign, withdrawing from the race. And there were a couple moments that really stood out in that video that he posted this evening. He said, he was very defiant. He still denies all of the allegations being made. He said he's not getting out because of those, but instead he said he is getting out because the system, in his words, is not allowing him to continue. And he said that he's going to file the paper to withdraw, but to pick the replacement, it needs to be driven, he said, not from back rooms, but by the will of the people. And the decisions that come next must come from that. So as you can imagine, this sets off a frenzy going forward because Democrats now have to figure out who the next nominee will be. And the state party has until July 27th to pick a replacement.
Exactly. So this seat is one of a few that Democrats really want to flip to be able to retake control of the Senate, going up against GOP Senator Susan Collins as she seeks a sixth term. So who else is on the roster that could potentially get the win for the Dems?
Yeah, that's why this race has garnered so much attention, Jesse, because this is one of those races that's going to help determine which party controls the U.S. Senate. And a lot of Democrats were hoping that this could be the year they take out Susan Collins, who is a longtime incumbent here. She's the chair of the Appropriations Committee, a very powerful seat in the Senate. But Democrats had said that they argued that she was vulnerable given the anti-Trump sentiment, and they were hoping to align her with the current president. Now there are many Democrats who are very interested in this position. Just yesterday, you had Troy Jackson, former Maine Senate leader, state Senate here, who had run for governor unsuccessfully just last month. In that primary, he started already filing paperwork yesterday. Earlier today, I talked to Dr. Shaw, Nirav Shaw, who had been the health director here in Maine. He also ran for governor last month and came in second place. He said he's also considering running here. You also have the co-founder of the Maine Beer Company, popular here, who had flirted with a run, got in a little bit last year and then got out of the race. He said today he is going to put his hat into the ring. So as you can imagine, this creates a lot of work for Democrats because they have to figure out how to run this process. And the state Democratic Party said tonight that they are going to have a convention. What that looks like remains to be seen. They'll have to appoint delegates and the like. But they said they are committed to having an open, transparent, inclusive, in their words, process. So we'll have to see the details of how that plays out. But there is a lot of work for Democrats to do now.
As you mentioned, there is a limited time for them to do all of that. But what do we know about what's next for Platner at this point? Does he go back to oyster farming?
That's a good question. I mean, he is essentially persona non grata in the Democratic Party. No one wants to campaign with him. Even Dr. Shaw, who I talked to earlier today, said that he would not want him on the campaign trail if he were to get into the race. And so, Democrats here at least want him to kind of stay silent and kind of go back home, so to speak. But here's the key. They need his voters. They need his supporters. So they kind of have to walk a fine line here. So you saw the Democratic Party, the Maine Democratic Party today, say that while they're frustrated with Platner, they very much welcome his voters and supporters, and they hope that new voters he's brought into the party will stay engaged, stay in the party, and show up for whoever they pick as the nominee.
The saga continues. CBS congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you so much. Again, embattled Democratic Senate candidate for Maine, Graham Platner, has dropped out of the race very shortly before the November ballot is finalized. We will continue following the latest developments on CBS News 24/7, your local stations, and on CBS Mornings. Lindsay Reiser has more of the day's top stories coming up next on The Daily Report. I'm Jesse Mitchell in New York. This has been a CBS News Special Report.